Hi everyone, happy Sunday. So I am a little late with the completed pages for February, but it's been a crazy few weeks due to work, so my recording schedule took a little bit of a hit, and unfortunately I didn't really color much the last couple weeks of the month either, which was a bummer, but I still feel good overall about the month, and I'll explain why. So, just as an aside, I don't have a planner video this month because my planner just went completely by the wayside in February. And I really have no desire to use it right now, so we're just gonna take a little break from planning. So maybe you'll see it for April, who knows. But I have started using the back here to take notes each month on my coloring and to break it down. Let me move this here. There we go. And excuse my chicken scratch, but this gives me a good idea of what I'm doing each month. I liked doing it for January, so I did it for February as well. So for February, my total number of pages was a bit smaller than average at 15, just 15 overall pages. I ran out of time that last week to color, and this month I ended up focusing more on I spent more time on each individual page doing more than I didn't do very many color by number pages or anything that I would consider a quick page. I didn't do as many of those. So this turned into more of a, I guess, time spent, on longer on a smaller amount of pages than necessarily hitting a higher number of pages like I normally do. I colored in 9 unique books. 10 pages were from my 10 books to finish books. So I did pretty good on that, I feel. Only 5 were color by number and 10 were non-color by number, which, like I said, is pretty huge for me. I think last month it was definitely more color by number. But here in the last few months, I noticed a little more of a shift towards non-color by number books. Probably just because I've been in more of a creative kind of mindset the last few months. Usually when I'm coloring more to like manage anxiety or just to pass time in the living room, and like listen to something while I'm coloring, generally I'll pick a color by number, but the last few months I've been more in a creative mood and really using my supplies in my books. So um, just recently that's just been a interesting shift to me. 11 pages were from my alphabet color 2022 B tag, and 2 of them were Foxy February 2022. Unfortunately, just like last year, Sidonia, she is howling. I think she has a toy. Anyway, um, yeah, my Brent's going over there to congratulate her on her hunting prowess. Um, but again, like last year, I just didn't get a lot of Foxy February pages done. I take that back. I have 3. I keep forgetting about that third one. I have 3. So I think I did a little more than I did last year, but still, again, I had better plans for the last week of the month, and it kind of just, I lost it. Some of the supplies I used this month, again, I feel like I did a really good job using a variety of supplies. Here lately, I've been a little less go-to with my alcohol markers and been more in the mood for watercolors and colored pencils and paints and stuff like that. So again, any opportunity to use my supplies, I'm definitely rolling with it. So I did use watercolors quite a bit this month, satin glazing liquid and watercolor grounds, what that stands for. So basically just treating pages. Those were my big demos for the month. That was what I did a lot this month to just get used to using them. I got another set of watercolors that I feel like are a little easier to use, the Pretty Excellent watercolors, and I'm excited because I want to try those for March and see what the difference is between the other set I had. I did actually use some pencils this month in shading over marker and watercolors. Both my Color Soft and my Arteza pencils, I seem to be gravitating towards those two a lot, and it may just be the types of colors I'm using, but I like them both very much. The Color Softs are fairly new. I'd like to do actual demos featuring them, just them as well, so we will see. The Tau Tree markers, I used various alcohol markers and then also some water-based markers. I used gelatos. My beloved Delusions shimmer paint, I used that quite a bit. Glossy accents. The dual metallic gel pens, which are probably my favorite gel pens at this point. I do love the Jelly Rolls and the glitter pens in those, but the dual metallics just, it's something about the colors. It's my jam. I love them. And somebody left a comment saying that there are some other colors if you can track them down, so I am intrigued and I'm going to see if I can find those. I did also use some acrylic paint pens and some stickles for the month. So again, overall a very good month in terms of kind of stretching myself creatively, and challenging myself a bit to use the supplies I have. Like I said, I haven't used a lot of watercolor on coloring pages, and that was my goal this month, and so I'm super pleased with the pages I did do this month. I feel like I am really putting together some of what I feel like is some of my best work for coloring over the years in terms of just creativity and just techniques and stuff like that, and it's been really nice. It's been really nice to be able to focus on that. I missed it when work got so busy and I just didn't have the time for it. So hopefully March won't be quite as bad. The first week or so I may not be able to color much because I have other work projects that got delayed and now I have to do those. But I'm hoping the rest of March actually turns out a little quieter than February ended. So without further ado, let me get to the actual pages. So, first up, in 50 Jungle Miniatures, I was trying to complete 5 pages for the month because to keep me on track to finish this by the end of the year. It's 5 pages, I think, in January and February, and then 4 each after that. Nikki from Nikki and Niagara is doing a year-long coloring tag from this. It's hashtag Nikki's Jungle Minis that I've also been participating in. And I did 5 last month, but this month I only got to do 3. And the other 2 just kind of, again, were going to be tackled that last week, and it just never came to be. So I am a couple pages behind now, but that's okay. That's okay. This is one that I really, like I said, started playing with my watercolors this month and using different treatments on pages to help with watercolor blending, or using water-based products without causing a lot of damage to the paper, or not being able to mix the colors as well, and keep them wet longer, because on Amazon paper anything wet tends to dry pretty quickly and leave streaks. You don't get a lot of opportunity to blend unless you work quickly. I have some experience with that, but definitely with watercolors, last month I did the ink tints on just the paper without any sort of treatment. It seemed to do pretty well, but with watercolors and of course using more water, I wanted to go ahead and try some different treatments. So here's my first one. I call this my Lisa Frank cheetah because that's exactly what it reminds me of. I used Daniel Smith watercolor ground on this. It left behind a very, very rough texture. It looks less wrinkled now because I've had it flattened under other books, but it turned out really wrinkly for even being treated, and this was my first real attempt to use just watercolor, and then just some little accents on a page without using anything else. So I think part of it was my my newness, and I just didn't like the finish it left. I don't feel like it was I think it was partially I didn't like the watercolor ground. It was partially the watercolors themselves. They're just budget watercolors that I happened to pick up on a lightning deal, and I just to try them. It wasn't even that I thought that I didn't know if they were any good or not. Um, and then just being new to it, I learned a lot from this page, and it turned out cute. And I'm saying I'm a lot as I usually do. I'm sorry. You sit there and you talk and talk, and you suddenly realize what you're doing. So anyway, I was so tempted to do it. But this page I learned a lot. I really learned how to start using layers with the watercolors to my advantage. So overall, it's still cute. It's not my favorite. It's definitely not what I was looking for. I did do a marker page. This is, of course, this cute little elephant with the mice using her trunk as a slide there. I decided to go with a little more pastel-y neutral palette here. I think I looked up one online, and it's marker base, and then I used crayon over it. It's a little hard to see. I used a confetti crayon for the background, which you can see a little bit, and then just used regular crayons for the mice and the elephant. I did notice I had some of the watercolor end up streaking onto this page, and when I wet this down with marker, it actually showed through, which I thought was interesting. So keep that in mind. Of course, just be a little careful with your watercolor on other pages. You may not necessarily be able to just cover it up depending on what it is. So again, lesson learned there. And then this was I had a lot of favorite pages this month. It is really tough to say this was my favorite page or one of my favorites. Like I said, this was I feel like I learned a lot this month in terms of putting out, and I put out some really good pages that I'm just super proud of. This is one of them. I used the watercolors again, but this time I used satin glazing liquid for the background, which seems to be my jam. That I still need to try gesso, which I've used before with water-based markers, and I still need to try it, but so far I really like the satin glazing liquid. That made a huge difference. Plus I had one page already under my belt, so I had already learned how to use the watercolors a little better. It's all watercolors with the exception of I used a Pitt artist pen to outline the frogs and the black. I used a alcohol marker to outline the flowers and the leaves, and then I used a little bit of white gel pen for the water, and then I used like some dual metallics for their eyes. I don't know if you can see the shimmer. So this is like 98% watercolor only, and I really enjoyed it. The background, I decided to go with baby poop brown, but it really works. It again, that hesitation of using brown for me, I don't know why, but brown just seems to be an ugly color in my subconscious. But then when I use it on paper like this, I can't imagine any other background to this. Like this was a great choice. So this turned out really cute. I also did this for Froggy February, which was coloring with Haley's hashtag for the month. So those are the three there. Like I said, I did not get to the last two, which were this one. I'm starting from the back and working my way to the front. This one's probably going to be just marker. I don't know yet what I want to do with this one. And I think that was, like I said, I figured I'd get to them last minute, and it just didn't pan out. Another 10 books to finish, Baby Dragons. I think Tammy and I were talking about it. I think I've got like 8 or 9 pages left in this to finish. So we are on good track. Her and I have adopted this as our project book. And we're working through the pages that I haven't finished. And then I guess she will finish up the ones that I already have done as well. And we did 2 in here this month. Let me find the first one. The first one was a whip that I had the marker base on for months. We had planned to do this in December, and great minds think alike because we both actually finished it like on the same day. I finally got to where I added my pencils to it. I used mostly Color Soft pencils, I believe, though I may have grabbed some different ones for the lighter green. I can't quite remember, but this turned out really cute. When I first started putting the pencil down, I was struggling because of the color palette and being able to match the colors. But when it got done, it did. It turned out so nice. This was an unusual color palette for me, and I'm super pleased with the results. Because it was in December, this is actually a vintage Christmas color palette. So, then the second picture we did, Tammy chose, which was this one. A great picture for Valentine's Day. And you can see both our pictures. I need to start including people's finished buddy color pages in my videos. But if you are on Instagram, you can see both our finished pages I posted earlier this month. Both turned out adorable, and I love her color palette. I am going to be using it for something else, and they actually the pictures, she's and I agree with her, complemented each other really well. The palette I picked was actually one that Hannah Lynn had posted for like a Valentine's Day color palette that I liked a lot. She had posted it on Facebook, I believe, in her coloring group. So I ended up using that, and I ended up using stickles to outline everything in the background, which is a little hard to see because I need to adjust that light. There we go. You can see just a little bit of glitter in the background. For the dragons, I used a little bit of the dual metallic gel pens on the eyes there, and to see what kind of effect I could get, not only did I color like the edges of the wings and the dual metallic gel pens, but I went over all the black lines on both dragons using the dual metallic red-black gel pens. And it gives it a really cool effect. I at first didn't think it would make any big difference, I guess, but then when you really look at it and you see it shine, I feel like it gives it a different effect. It softens the lines a little bit, and so I was super pleased with that. That was a interesting trial there. Just a let's see what happens. All right, so another Tim book to finish. Whimsy Girls. Lord, this is going. This I looked at the timer. Whimsy Girls Celebrate the Holidays and Festive Occasions by Hannah Lynn. I did two in here this month. The first one was it a demo? Was it a color and chat? I think it was a color and chat. I held on to this wedding page last year because I didn't want to do it like a regular wedding page. And for some reason when I looked at it, I thought of Lydia from Beetlejuice. Even though I hadn't seen the movie in years. I don't know why, but that was what came across my brain. So I held on to it, and of course it was, alphabet color B, so B for Beetlejuice. And I used the Delusion Shimmer Paint for her dress, the C.R. Braun watercolors for her, like the sheer part of her dress and her veil. I used an acrylic paint pen along with markers for the background to give it that kind of just dark Tim Burton kind of look to it. And then her flowers are actually colored like Beetlejuice's suit is in the movie. So had a lot of fun with that. Shared with y'all some Beetlejuice facts. I might put up on the top right the card for that color in chat if you want to go check that out. I do have the Beetlejuice facts time-stamped if you'd like to go learn more about the movie. I really enjoy doing movie themed pages. I have another one in mind, and I had a tag I was possibly going to do in March, but I just didn't want to do two tags again. So, but I've noticed I really do enjoy doing the movie and TV show inspired pages. It allows me to really think outside the box in terms of getting the colors right and the feel of the page right. So my other page this was the very last page I think I completed for the month, the Birthday Girl. Now this was one I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I just figured it was going to just be just plain old a boring picture. Like I just didn't have any real thought as to what I wanted to do. Well, I started looking at it and I started thinking, okay, well my birthday's not till May, but if I were to have a birthday party, I love I love these types of colors, like the teals and the purples and blues and oranges. This is just my jam. And I started putting together a color palette and, looked online to find one that seemed to work together. And y'all, I had so much fun with the colors in this picture. Like this turned out to be so much, this was just a fun one. This wasn't necessarily technique. This was just having fun with the colors that I think I love the most. If I had to break down to y'all like what my favorite type of color palette would be, it would be this right here. It's a combination of markers. I use my Delusions shimmer paint for the balloons, for the flag thing in the background, for the icing on the cake, and some of the wrapping paper. Then I use some dual metallic gel pens for her eyes, and some of the icing on the cake, and then the rest of the packages. And some glossy accents on her eyes. And it did. It turned out just stinking adorable. Like I said, I had so much fun with the colors in this one. This was just a fun picture. And like I said, probably one of my favorites out of the book so far. Yes, y'all, I finally colored in one of my Grimm Fairy Tales books by Xenoscope Entertainment. I have 3 of these now. And, well, I do have one and one other book colored. And this is part of the 3 for 2 Amazon sale I got, so I will be doing flip-throughs of this next Friday. So you'll get to see the whole book then. But I did want to color a page out of this for Foxy February. And it worked out because I found one that worked for both tags. And it is this lady. I just adore the bears. I love that he's chasing the little butterfly and he's stomping on his buddy there. And I don't know, this one's trying to hold her up. He's like, okay, it's really not necessary to bend over that far. You're going to fall over. So he's trying to keep her straight there. I feel like that would just be brutal on your back, bending over, chopping tree trunks like that. But, that's just me. I see this and I see a picture like this and what's my first thought? Oh, my back. It just shows you my age, right? So I wanted to do, I used the satin glazing liquid again on this and use the watercolor as a base. Using the watercolor as a base versus just using it for the picture itself is something I kind of learned as I went with this as well. Getting used to using just that really light water, like full watery color for the base is something I struggle with. And when I first started it, I was doing the sky and it was turning out streaky and it was driving me insane. This is also Amazon paper, but I feel like it's a little different than some of the other paper we normally deal with. And but then by the time I got to her and the rest of the picture, I kind of figured out my groove. Again, it may be partly the watercolors themselves. I will know for sure with the testing I'm going to do in March with a different set. So watercolor base, pencil overlay. Again, Color Soft and Arteza seem to be my go-to pencil combos for a lot of pictures lately. And it just turned out, I love it. It's so pretty. The background actually turned out pretty nice once I stopped being so persnickety about it. Yes, persnickety. I said it. I also used a little bit of dual metallic gel pens on the butterflies, on her gigantic axe right there. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. And like I said, colored her with a pattern similar to Paul Bunyan because that's what I assumed her character was based off of. And yeah, turned out super cute. Pretty darn proud of that one. You want to talk one I'm super, like I said, just so many pictures I feel like I did so well on this month. This one definitely being up there with my favorite pictures for the year is going to be a hard video. Let me tell you, if I keep going at this rate. I did one out of Anamorphia. Last year I did the Galaxy Fox, which turned out cool, but I wanted to do another fox this year, but I wanted to do it a little different. I felt like I learned a lot from that picture with the mistakes I made, and I wanted to do something a little different. So, Anamorphia for Kirby Rosanna's, we have this fox, which is definitely y'all's favorite picture on Instagram, and I don't blame you because I love the picture too. This is one where I feel like simplicity really was the way to go. Instead of going crazy with a color palette, sticking with a very simple one. And so, like I said, I got to learn a lot this month. Delusion shimmer paint for the background, white gel pen for the snow, because he is like an Arctic fox. I wanted to do one that wasn't a typical red-brown kind of woodland fox. I wanted to do an Arctic one with white and gray on his head, but then maybe some blues, like a wintry fox. I guess we'll call him the wintry fox or something, for the rest of them. So Delusion shimmer paint on the background, gelatos used and kind of just spread with my finger to create this kind of, oh, what's the term? The lights, the thing. I said it a dozen times during this video and I can't remember. My brain's not working. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Those things. Gelatos and a little bit of pencil over his head. Pencil for the eyes and then a glossy accent over his eyes. I love... No, I'm sorry. It's gelatos, then pencil, then glossy accent. I used the C.R. Braun watercolors as a base here. And then I came over with Arteza and Color Soft pencils for the shading. And I'm telling y'all, like I've said throughout the month, I think the best... I'm going to still work on pictures that are only pencil based, but those are probably not going to happen very quickly, as pencils just seem to really wreak havoc on my hands and wrists. But using a base of watercolor or gelatos or something and then using a pencil over it, that seems to be the best way for me to use pencils. I can go a whole lot less pressure, and it's a lot easier on my hands, and that just seems to be the best way I enjoy using my pencils. So looking forward to doing more of that in March. I definitely still have the drive to do it. It's just going to be a matter of, do I have the time to do it? Okay, so those are it for the non-color by number. If you want to continue watching the color by numbers, which some of y'all like the George Tufexis, but then no others, but that's why I usually put those in between. But I have whips at the end, and then I have these color by numbers. If you guys, if you don't feel like watching the color by numbers, I totally get it. That's why I do this the way I do it. And thanks for watching. And hopefully I'll be back Tuesday with some type of demo video. Hopefully the Pretty Excellent watercolors is what I'm planning on, but we shall see. Anyway, if you're still here though, I welcome you to stay. I did do a new one out of this, Birds Color by Number by George Tufexis. I picked a blue jay. Not just a bird, but a blue jay. And I loved these colors. The reds and the oranges and the purples. I love my birthday girl palette, but like, it's just bright colors like that. I'm just really drawn to. And when I was looking at a page to pick in this book, I thought because it's a blue jay and because of the bright autumn colors that this was the one to go with. And I feel like this book is less complex. It's an older one of his. It's less complex than some of his newer ones. So just FYI, if you want to try George Tufexis, but some of his stuff seems real complex, that might be a good one to go with. Fanciful Fox by Color Questopia. Here's my third fox picture, because of course we had the Foxy Gal from Grimm Fairy Tales. This was for Spicy Cat Colors, and others, I can't remember who all it is in the group, we're doing a special Color Questopia tag for February using a unique color palette out of a Color Questopia book and page. So I'd done this before with one other page from their books, and I really liked the turnout. So I took this fox and I did the opposite color wheel uh, colors again, and just use my little color wheel, and so I get my nice little alien fox in the blood forest. And he turned out super cool. I really like doing this, and I feel like it gets me a little more familiar with the color wheel and complementary colors and stuff like that. So he turned out super cool. This was just alcohol markers. Another 10 books to finish is Country Life by Kira Shershniva. I've been working my way pretty good through this one. This was definitely the one, this is definitely my go-to color by number book right now when I do want to do one. So we've got this picture, and I'm just doing random pictures in the book. Most of these, it's like front to back or back to front. This one, I'm just going through if it's applicable to the current month tag. I'm trying to match it up. So here is this lovely girl picking some peaches with some little pretty birds around her. These are color by colors. We also have a mom turkey with her babies in the wheelbarrow. Of course, we've got birds and butterflies here, and bugs. We've got ladybugs. And the third one I did was this lady with the butterflies and the little lamb. Now, the title of this book will work perfect for March, so you will definitely be seeing quite a few pages out of this probably for March. And finally, last page of the month from Belva Family for Alphabet Color B. Stylish Animals. I did get a page done out of this. This is another one I just love to use. I guess this would technically be a bird as well. This fancy little flamingo. It's a combination of water-based markers and alcohol markers. I am trying to use up as many of my water-based markers as I can before I buy a new set. So the ones I've run out of, I just supplement with alcohol markers like the peach and stuff. But I am trying to use up my water-based markers in here. I feel like they look really good in these books. And so we got this handsome fellow for the month. So you'll probably see at least another one out of that one. I like to do at least 1 or 2 pages out of this month. I really like these small square books. They're also a good comfort go-to book in the evenings. Alright, I have 2 whips, and one of them's an old whip, but I'm showing it to you because I plan to finish it in March. So the first one is the new release from George Dufexis, The Endless Summer Color by Number, his latest book that dropped last month. I had hoped to have this done by the end of February as I was going for butterflies, but that that major project dropped and I did not have time to go back and finish it. So here is my whip. I'm using towel tree markers as I usually do. This will also apply for March because it is a Creative Haven book. So you will see me finish this in March for my coloring tag. And it's turning out super pretty. It's a nice little desert picture. I like it a lot. And then lastly, you saw this a few months back. I did have a color and chat that I was working on in this where I got this much done. I'm using the Arteza water-based real brush pens for this. And it's turning out beautiful. I mean, it's gorgeous, but I just had no desire to come back to this picture. I just no desire whatsoever, and I do really enjoy using the real brush pens. But for the past few months, I hadn't really wanted to use them either. But because it has charm and it is a Creative Haven book, I figured this would be a good one to try to finish for March, because I've been sitting on this one since like November or December, so hopefully you guys will see me finish that up. Possibly might be one of my coloring chats this month. So there we are. Yes, long a video as usual because y'all know, even if it's a short amount of pages, I love to talk. Plus, there was a lot of technique heavy pages this month, so it all kind of evened out, right? So for March, you will be seeing probably more from Whimsy Girls, maybe. I'll have to see. Baby Dragons, we have at least one page we're thinking about doing this month. Either the Cauldron page, the Halloween one, or the one with the Crystal Dragon to go along with the color along. More, of course, out of 50 Jungle Miniatures. I might try the Pretty Excellent watercolors in here. The next 4 images are the little toucan swings, the pandas, the chameleon, which is cute, and then the hippo. Well, I don't necessarily have to stick to those. This might be a good watercolor. This might be a good one to try with the Pretty Excellent watercolors. We might try that or something. You'll probably see this one this month. So yeah, you'll be seeing those. You'll be seeing more from Country Scenes. Probably one out of this one just because I just love this darn book. And I don't know what these are. I don't think this one tells you anywhere what the finished pictures are. You just get them as you go along, and I love that. I always enjoy the mystery of figuring out what it is. So you'll see one in here regardless. And then hopefully these 2 will be done this month, as well as some from the books you saw on Wednesday's tag kickoff. I like to show those to give everybody ideas, and trust and believe I'm not coloring out all of them. You'll see a lot of cat pictures this month. Now, you may not see as many pictures from me in March. A lot of it's going to depend on work projects, and whether I've went a really long stretch without needing a break from coloring, which is highly unusual for me. If you've been around for a while, you know that usually about every 2 or 3 months I kind of need a break on videos, and then I just don't feel like coloring, and that hasn't happened, which is a good thing. And I probably shouldn't have put any words to it because now I'm jinxed, but which is good. I feel like that is some growth for me as a person. But just depending on how March goes, you may see a similar setup for me for March, just because I don't know how much free time I'm going to have. Plus, this week, I'm doing a lot of reading in the evenings because my favorite book series by my favorite author, Matt Denneman, Dungeon Crawler Carl, the 5th book hit this week, and I am working my way through that and having a lot of fun, but I also want to get back to doing some coloring. So there we are. I hope you enjoyed it. Yes, long video as usual, but you know that's how I roll. Tuesday, I'm hoping to do a demo with the Pretty Excellent watercolors. What I'm going to do page-wise, I don't know yet. It may be the page I did in here, or showed y'all in here, or it may be in another book. We will see. It may actually be in this one. And maybe I do like I did with the last demo in here. I do a page in here, and maybe I do a page in another book. And this one will be a good test for me to get comfortable with them before I tackle like a hardback or something. So anyway, y'all know what I'm saying. So y'all take care. Hope you have a good rest of the weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.